Hey everybody, this is Sophia Florence, one of the hosts of the Crumbling podcast, and I'm here to tell you that we have new tiers on Patreon. And I know what you're thinking. Do I want to pay more for this podcast? Hell yeah, because you're going to get some cool shit with it. Our early supporter tier is now one of the new ones. Obviously, we have the old Help Us Grow one, which is just $3 a month. That gives you access to our episodes early and gives you access to our special episodes called Crumbs. The early supporter tier, which is $6 a month, gives you early access to the episodes like the other one, gives you some exclusive behind-the-scenes content. So there could be clips, bloopers, more other things that we'll be adding to the Patreon. A physical sticker pack, which is fun and themed designs produced by our illustrator, Chris Terendi. Patreon-only updates and polls that'll help shape our future content. So that'll be really exciting if you want to kind of be more of an active participant in what we're doing here. And it's, just kind of a perfect thing for fans who want a sneak peek and exclusive goodies. There's some really fucking cool designs. I can't wait till y'all see them. If you want to go a little bit more than that, we have the super fan tier that is $20 a month. That gives you early access to all the episodes. It gives you those behind the scenes episodes and extras. It'll give you access to something that the other ones don't have, which is a limited edition t-shirt. We've got one right now. It's super cool. I am not even going to show it to you guys. Probably have more designs over the years. But if you want the shirt, come get it. It's $20 a month for that. Ideal for anyone who loves merch. They want to, tell people about our podcast and they don't want to actually talk about it. Some of us are introverts. You don't want to talk about shit. You just want to be a billboard, and I'm cool with that. And also, it's the same art that's on the stickers. It is super rad, and 40% of the tier's proceeds go directly to supporting our illustrator's work. That is Chris Terendi. He's at Chris Terendi, Tirendi art.com. ChrisTerendiart.com. Give it a look. I hope that some of you will join, and I hope that you will take part in some polls and tell us what you want. We want to make the content that you want within the confines of the stuff that we like to do. Please go to our Patreon, patreon.com/The Crumbling Podcast, and join today.
Hey everybody, it's Sophia. Welcome back to the Crumbling Podcast, the only podcast where you can find out about how things are falling apart, and it's bad. Well, we're probably not the only one, but we're pretty good. But yeah, I'm back with Davin and V and Corrigan and nobody else actually. That's it. That's the list of people I'm back with. But continuing where we picked up, let's keep talking about how the Warrens were douchebags.
Some old relics from the funeral home were found, especially in the basement, and the family reported things like lights flickering and hearing a chain being dragged and other little bumps in the night.
Because of all the people in the chains at the funeral home.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally.
That's exactly what you do with dead bodies. You chain them down,
chain them on up.
Get up again. Like that movie Dead Girl that we don't talk about.
Ooh.
Which I don't know if you've ever seen that.
But about Dead Girl.
But I will talk about Dead Girl at some point.
I don't know.
For reasons I really still don't understand and probably never will, Philip, the son with cancer, lived in the basement near all the spooky stuff.
Sure.
They say his personality changed at that point and that he started wearing a leather jacket and broke into a neighbor's home and asked for a gun to kill Al with, normal kids stuff.
Oh, boys will be boys.
When they say, he's wearing a leather jacket at first, I was like, cool. He's just doing like a Fonz thing.
Exactly.
Like he's being a cool guy. And then they're like, he asked for a gun to kill his stepdad.
I don't remember the happy days. Was that after it jumped the shark or...
Yes. Al and Carmen say that they assumed that Philip was haunted and possessed, and they called none other than the Warrens to come and live with them. Because that's what you do.
Seems like a lot.
Please come live with us. Find out if we have demons in the house.
I would go with Zoom call first, and then we'll figure out living situation.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, it's reported that Carmen told her upstairs neighbors that she and her husband would be getting a cut in on a book deal with the Warrens, and the antics really took off from there. Al and Carmen went on daytime TV show Sally Jesse Raphael to talk about how they were, I'm going to have Davin talk about these screenshots from that episode, which is just, this episode is on YouTube.
I love that you're giving this to someone else to say.
Yeah. So what does the caption say?
No, this is no. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Audience, this is a robot. This is quite literally a robot chicken fucking sketch. This is I don't know how to say. Okay, I need to set the scene. I just recognize the background I have does not show my lights lowering. You can see the grainy footage in the screenshot. Big Al, I'm going to call him, has the real like shaped up beard. He looks real nice. What fresh cut from the barber.
He looks like Al Borland from fucking Home Improvement with a shaped up beard.
Yeah, he has the blue, like black and blue, like very 80s, 70s. Like he looks fresh. That like, great outfit. Carmen, you know the worst part, under Carmen's name is the action that they're claiming happened. Carmen is in a red white collar shirt. Great, very suburban looking couple who are claiming they were sexually molested by a ghost. And the first thing I'm thinking is there a way to be molested that's not sexual?
Like in the Spanish way? You know, molestar.
Oh yeah, that's bothered. Yeah. Screenshot 1. Al and Carmen say they were sexually molested by a ghost. There's a point in time where someone makes a claim, no matter how ridiculous, I often try to hold space and not laugh because Sophia has seen me hear claims from people and be like, really? I'm looking at this, and the second screenshot.
Yeah.
Second screenshot has a close-up of Al looking very sad and somber. Says he was sodomized by the ghost.
Oh, that would make me sad too.
Yeah.
And also, wait, just to add some context to this, when they shot this TV show, they rolled out a bed that they could lay
like
on.
what?
What happened with the ghost?
We understand where they sleep.
Al was like, I felt a lot of pressure in my anal area.
We did not need exhibits.
Right.
I mean, he didn't, take his pants off or anything, but
thank goodness.
We'd save that for a reenactment show on Travel Channel 20 years later.
Time out. Investigation Discovery is going to make a killing off the Warrens.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like, there is a point in time where I thought, like, dirtbag daytime sensationalist TV was like a Jerry Springer, Oprah thing. Oh, that's what the Warrens look like. Okay, fuck them both.
Yeah, they don't look like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, unfortunately.
This guy, and like, I'm not weight shaming, but he is
he looks like a thumb.
Two of Patrick Wilson.
Listen, in the third or fourth movie, the one that just came out, Last Rites, like the whole movie, Patrick Wilson as Ed is like talking about his, his heart problems and he can't eat like he used to and all that, but he looks like Patrick Wilson, right? You're like, you can't have another heart attack, Ed. Patrick Wilson, come on. But if you look at Ed Warren, you're like, no, that adds up. I see that.
Yeah, no, Ed Warren looks like the Patrick Wilson character if he was wearing the Jiminy Glick suit.
Yes, that's exactly it. 100%.
This is making it so hard. I'm trying to like make more creative insults. But the thing is, one, knowing that like they're very like conservative, like the bio that we got, they look like their bio. They look like they're a ChatGPT rendering of what the average person their bio looks like. The fact that they are making money off, I thought at one point in time they're only going to like people who are always in on the deal, but now I'm like, they have to just be driving around for weird, creepy looking houses, or they have to be like sending letters out to people saying like, yo, we can guarantee you a quick $100,000. You just got to kind of look a little stupid for a little bit, or like you got to be like willing to take the joke. There's very few ways that I'm looking at this happening because it's like sensationalized. If they were doing this and it's like something that we only found out because like they were going into like some secret back channel, or they were going down to like New Orleans or somewhere and talk to a hoodoo priestess or something, I'd be like, no, they actually believe it. They're true believers because like they're basically going to all the areas where you get it real and it's not made for consumption. But the fact that they're parading these people out like this, I sincerely hope and pray whoever like was paraded got the good cut that they deserved. Like I hope you got a couple like $100,000 back in 70s money. Like if you're going to be embarrassed, like I'll be embarrassed for like a price. Like I got student loans to pay.
And some of these people, they have continued to basically make their living off of this essentially to this day, that like they participate in this, they hold that all of this stuff still happened, and like they write books about it and they do appearances about it. It's like going to Comic-Con and like if you're a B-list celebrity, that kind of thing. That's what these people do. So in that sense, like they kind of made a little career for these people. But at the core of it, what makes it more insidious is that while I think we can question the sort of true believer nature of what they were doing because their grift was so strong, it was about spreading Catholicism though, right? And conservatism. at the root of everything that they were doing was telling people that the reason these things are happening to you has nothing to do with, say, systemic racism or, structures of power or poverty or rape and abuse and blah, 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 and all these things that were happening to you. Really, it's because while this was going on, you didn't allow God into your heart. And so it's always your fault when bad things happen to you. And that's what they were using all of this shit to do, was to use these people as examples of we can fix it by giving them God. But you out there, if you're experiencing something, if your husband is abusing you, you need to go to God with that and learn how to accept it, right? And not try to change him or do anything about that. If you pray enough, God will fix him anyway. But that's where it gets really insidious, and the true believer element does kind of come through, because underneath it, they were still trying to put that out there. It was important to them to spread those conservative values, just also while making a shit ton of money while doing it, So it's the worst of both worlds.
Monroe is not a cheap place to live.
Right. You got to pay those bills, man. You got to pay that mortgage.
That is a rural area in Fairfield County, one of the most expensive counties to live in the entire U.S.
Right.
I think
the average income in Monroe is $127,000. And that's
crazy.
The median.
Yeah. I feel that might even be more than where I live, and I live in the town Patrick Wilson lives in. I live in one of the most expensive towns in the United States, and I still think that's more than here.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because it is literally 10 minutes away from where I am. It is not like that.
None of the towns in New England ever strike me as actually that expensive, but it turns out it is fucking expensive.
Yeah, I'm from the boondocks of Western Massachusetts, and weirdly, it's expensive out there too.
Yeah, okay. Hey, neighbor.
Hey, Greenfield.
Hey.
I fucking forgot that it was Greenfield. I have done comedy there so many times.
Oh, no way.
There's a place in downtown Greenfield that sells instruments and also does comedy. It's full of guitars and stuff.
Yeah. It's where I got my flute when I was a kid. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've done comedy there so many times.
Oh, how funny. But it is the middle of nowhere, as you know from going there. Fucking nowhere near anything.
It is the middle of nowhere, but also close to the lesbian capital of the Northeast.
It's true. Yes, it very much is. That's where most of my family lives, Northampton.
Hell yeah, Northampton. Land of questionable content, the webcomic.
Yeah, you know what came out of a Connecticut writer that I just found out about? The Venture Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, I was watching an episode of that show, and they're doing what some people call a yard sale and what we call a tag sale in Connecticut.
Yeah, tag sale. There's only 30 miles of earth that calls it that. And I
same there are Grinders, and I had Grinders this weekend.
Yeah, they talk about Grinders in the same episode.
Oh, amazing.
And I was like, this guy's got to be from Connecticut. I was like,
Ledyard, if I remember right. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's from Ledyard, yeah.
Yeah. He's Doc Hammer. Doc Hammer. He's one of my painting idols, too, because he's if you ever look up his art, he's also just a really cool dude. And, he runs a band called Weep, which does the most amazing cover I have ever heard of Rihanna's Shut Up and Drive.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Drive. I don't know. But anyway, it's sick. I will send it to you. Anyway, I love him.
All right.
Who edits these episodes?
Eamon.
I'm so sorry, Eamon.
No.
I hope he says it sounds like a good app from what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is good. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Let's have some good Connecticut lore and New England lore in here. Let's do it.
All right, so they contacted horror author Ray Garden to write a novel about what happened there. Garden found the whole suspicious, but wrote the book anyways and later revealed a bit more of his story. He quotes Ed Warren as saying the following to him.
Everybody who comes to us is crazy. Otherwise, why would they come to us? You've got some of the story, just use what works and make the rest up and make it scary.
Some L. Ron Hubbard shit right there.
Oh,
yeah. Just totally aware of what he's doing. Yeah. And with that contempt for the people who believe his bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is galling.
I was going to continue on. Garden was insisting that there was a lot of issues with...
Oh my God, wait a minute.
We broke Davin.
It's it's like a thing that's just so obvious. Gardner was very insistent that there were a lot of issues with drugs and mental illness in the family. And well, after the SJR episode, we're inclined to believe him. Tragically, while demon butt fucking is clearly not true, the Snedeker's nieces also claim. The Snedeker's nieces also claim to have been touched in their sleep, and Philip was later arrested for having been the actual person to have done so. Here's the point I want to make while I'm hearing this story, right? If you have a child who has cancer and you're putting them in the basement, my first thing is like, why the fuck is the cancer kid in the basement?
Right.
Are they in the basement and it's your stepson? Oh, is that because you don't want to fuck with them or like anything? So that's probably why the mental changes happen, right? It's just like, like the kid has cancer.
Yeah,
and
you've ostracized. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so like, of course it's like, oh, I'm going to buy the gun to kill my dad or like my stepdad. It's just like, I hate saying it this way, but it's like, what you do to make that nigga that mad? Like why does he have such animosity towards you? Like, is it? But now, did you put him in the basement to separate him from the other children? I think from that quote, clearly, the Warrens have changed from like spreading Catholicism, making it more conservative again, but they recognize what that paycheck does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where, and this is not an indictment of any type of religious community because all like religions, especially like the Christian derived ones, do it. There's a point where you kind of ostrich real problems because to be very religious takes so much faith. And faith, I'm not saying it doesn't take thinking power, but to have faith is to basically say, I know something will happen without having to investigate it. That is the crux of faith. And so with that, when you have trails of evidence where somebody who is probably not as faith inclined or like is a doctor or someone who's just like been through some shit can be like, yeah, no, that kid probably has problems because like mental disease probably runs in their family. People who are super strict about their faith in a way where they'll like shut out anything else because in that you can no longer get the miracles. Like I do have some people I've known, I know a lot of faith-based people, some who are like, nah, bro, I believe that God gave us medicine to handle this shit. Like, no, God just gave us the simple answer, go to the doctor, nigga. But I know other people who are like, God will provide, and then they're still bleeding from like their ears. I'm like, you should maybe get that checked out. I think the Warrens are predators in the worst way because you get this type of predator who knows who they can attack. They're two people who are smart enough to know that like, well, we already come from a religious community. We know that they're not going to question us because like we're two upstanding white looking people. They look like the rich aunt and uncle from every like Christmas story.
Totally. Yeah. 1000%. Yeah.
Like they play the role of the people who are like, oh, well, we're right with God. And how dare you challenge us because we're right with God? An audience, if someone says that they are right with God as like a deflection against you, 9 times out of 10, they're not right with God. Because every person who I met where I'm like, yeah, they're right with God does not need to say it because the sun is shining on them.
Yeah.
I feel like the Warrens,
that's a good word. Yeah.
They knew the flock that they could pick off. And I feel like they stayed with it. And then they cultivated effectively a cult personality to say, we're the demonologists. Oh, yeah, we know y'all niggas are crazy. It's that. It's just like, yeah, we know it's. I hate relating everything back to incels, but it's literally the red pill.
Right.
Sorry for the rant. I'm just like this now. So I'm like, this is disgusting. They did
that's worse. It. That you 100% hit the nail on the head, though. I think that's absolutely true. That air of authority that they give off, and as you pointed out, that plays not just off of religious authority, but the authority of whiteness and the authority of class and things like that. That they are absolutely using to make themselves unimpeachable, and above reproach when they are actually doing things that are truly horrific.
A lot of this comes on more the beginning of the Satanic Panic, but right in the late 80s. I, grew up in evangelical. My grandmother thought that I was, as a kid, a victim of satanic ritual abuse. I actually wasn't allowed to go to preschool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre thing I grew up with, and one of the many reasons I wanted to create this show. It's one of those things where people had, I don't want to say like a mass psychosis or anything, but like people freaked out about the idea that Satan-worshipping pedophiles were molesting the children, and people did investigative journalism on it, and nobody ended up finding anything. But there was a book where like a girl who was under hypnosis or whatever was like, oh yeah, they touched my no-no part.
Yeah. Michelle Remembers, I think it was called.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
We will eventually do a series on the Satanic Panic.
It's a bonkers moment, and they really capitalized off of it. I mean, they led into it in many ways, of course. They set the stage for it by, appearing in things long before this actually happened. But that was like such a boon for people like them. And again, like it really is taking advantage of people who are susceptible to, being sort of led to believe certain things, people with mental illness. So the idea, like Michelle Remembers, is based obviously on this idea that like you can pull these like memories out that someone didn't know they had before, like repressed memories and things like that, and basically coaching a kid into thinking that they've been molested and like all of these kinds of things, which obviously we see still today amongst, right-wing people who call everyone groomers. Like, it's all just sort of a legacy of the exact same thing that was happening at this point. Like, they set the groundwork at this point for like the same exact things that are being lobbed at any marginalized community you can imagine today.
100%. And I think just taking it further is they need to lay the groundwork. And a crux of that is you have to think about who's allowed to be a child and who's allowed to be innocent, right? Like traditionally in the viewpoint of America, anybody who's not like straight and white is automatically, they're not even human, they're a deviant. So with this, like to even talk about like you're not right with God, and that's not also just on white people, right? Because like the Black community I belong to, ride for them, love my people. Everybody knows in that church that fucking choir director is gay as the day is long, but it's no one will point to it because they like dancing to the music.
Right.
And also that's the only reason your church is winning those competitions, because that boy putting them foot in them songs, right?
Yeah.
But in that, it's always this mask of we gotta protect the children, which is the justification, right? It's just like it's the reason why you didn't have rock and roll. It's the reason why kids don't listen to R&B. It's the reason that like D&D was almost outlawed. You having this independence or this thing that I don't have expressionate control of is automatically going to make you a deviant. Right. Yep. I hate saying it this way, but like whenever someone says we got to protect the children as like the crux of their argument versus like, well, tell me why the children are impacted by this.
Right.
Like most of the times when people are making that argument, like, oh, we have to protect the children, it's always like, I don't want my like lily white suburban, typically high class child to be exposed to something either I have no control of or something that makes me question if I'm a good person.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Speaking of creepy people, much like Philip, who was arrested for, touching his cousins, a woman named Judith Penny came forward in 2017 and claimed that Ed Warren had an affair with her starting when she was 15 and he was 27. She claims that she lived with them, that she witnessed Ed abusing Lorraine, and that she had been forced by Lorraine to abort Ed's baby at some point.
Yikes.
Catholics.
Yeah.
While this hasn't been substantiated and it would be kind of impossible to do so at this point, it came to light from Judith herself and some sworn testimony she made.
Yeah. And it was common knowledge enough. They would claim that, oh, she's the nanny or like things like that. But she was
that she lived with them.
This is like just
some Neil Gaiman shit.
Yeah. This is like a real signs of the times like kind of thing. It was found out in the community. Everyone knew he was her bus driver. Everyone knew that like they were having an affair or whatever. And so the cops came and they arrested her. And they threw her in juvie for having an affair with this man. And he would come and he would pick her up from juvie and, take her to school and shit like that. Like, so this idea, it's obviously we can't like fully corroborate everything, the abortion, all that kind of stuff, but it was enough of common knowledge that she was arrested for this as a teenager for having an affair with Ed Warren.
For fuck's sake. Ugh.
Yeah. And it's also been reported that Lorraine's contract for the Conjuring movies included a clause that stated that Ed could not be depicted in a relationship with an underage woman.
Why would you put that? Never mind.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to...
My not involved in child trafficking shirt is raising a lot of questions already answered by the shirt.
Why do you need that shirt?
Yeah.
Good God.
She really Streisanded that, to be honest. Because this became... it. I think... Honestly, it did draw attention to it, even though it got buried, right? And one of the things that makes the film series so vile is that they knew about this. They were told, hey, there's a woman who has all of this, information about like having been sleeping with Ed Warren since she was a child. They had only like broken up like 7 years before his death. Like she had a lifelong relationship with this guy. And they were told about this and not only chose to move forward with the films at the time Lorraine was alive and was making money off of this. They moved forward with the films and leaned into the love story. If you've ever seen these movies, the center of these movies is how in love Ed and Lorraine Warren are. And it is grotesque. Like, it's mawkish. It's just watching them throughout these movies just become this, like, icon of love. If you look at, like, reviews of the Conjuring movies on Letterboxd and things like that, like, this is what people talk about. I wish I had a love like Ed and Lorraine. Oh, I'm so happy to be back with mommy and daddy Ed and Lorraine, blah, 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 blah. And, like, that is, if you don't know anything about them, what you would think of. And the only thing that really, we had to get that inkling that something was wrong is the fact that then there was this woman who came forward and talked about this. And we have records of that having happened, and the legal proceedings that sort of came out of that whole thing. So it is absolutely wild that we are, 9 movies in this universe that set them up as these heroes. And listen, I love Patrick Wilson. I consider him horror daddy. He is, the greatest horror actor of our times, as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's vile that he and Vera promote this. When they walk around, they talk about how great Ed and Warren were, and we're so lucky to have them. And at the end of this movie, there's like a thing that like makes a note, while their life and work was controversial, they are still considered to have, been the greatest influences on paranormal research, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, while it was controversial, is that what we're calling statutory rape? Right? Is that what we're calling going and telling people that, like, if your husband's abusing you, it's your spiritual battle, right? Like that's controversial. Fuck this. Like, it is unhinged to me.
Seriously.
That those movies rewrote their legacy, really. Like, they were known for being these paranormal, heavy hitters, but they weren't known for their love story. And now they are.
That's terrible. That's just fucking awful.
No, they were known for appearing at fucking high school Halloween events in Connecticut.
Literally, I saw them. I met them. Like, I actually met them. So I went to. It was years ago. I went to one of their events.
I saw them at Seymour High School in like fucking 1998 or something.
Okay, all right. You got two. Probably a few years older than me then. Earlier.
It shows how dedicated they were to that grift too. I mean, you're going from like, in the 70s, like we start getting movies made about their escapades in the 70s to then,
Crazy.
In the 90s, they're doing school gym shit, they were dedicated.
They were.
I think the thing works to, and I know we touched on this a lot, it's just, they look like your aunt and uncle or grandma and grandpa. And I think that's what gives them the credence, right? Like it's like, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. Society at large is going to give that picture perfect couple the benefit of the doubt and the platform, because it's never like, wait, what are these idiots saying? It's always, well, look at them. Like, they, even if they're wrong.
Would they lie to you?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's like, would they lie to you? Or like they could have, it's the, it's a grift. They're kind of weird for it. But then it's just like, we can hold them up because they, if anything, they tell the perfect story, right? Like these are two God-fearing people against like forces they don't understand. Hey, they're probably lying. It's like, but look how much they love each other. It's always going to be scapegoated to like some other thing we can put the hero fantasy on.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And I find that just, at its core, it's kind of just these multiple levels of like villainy, basically, of the dual thing of the spreading of these conservative doctrines and, what he was doing. And then adding on to that, just this fiction that's been built around them that does prey off of like, I mean, if you do watch these movies too, they are extremely religious, which I think is fascinating because they are like the most popular horror franchise in America. Like hands down, they do huge numbers every time a new one comes out. Everybody watches these movies, and yet they are explicitly religious. They are about the power of God and of Jesus to overcome these things, like it's not like a in the background part of it. So they have managed to carry on this missionary legacy with these movies that aren't made by Christians, right? Like no one involved in making these movies are Christians. Lorraine's dead, like they're gone. And yet they have carried on the evangelical mission of these movies into perpetuity, essentially.
It's fucking insane.
It is.
I've been just stuck on this for so many years, and I was like, I need to talk about this.
America loves, I hate saying it this way, but America loves it as much as we are a nation that was not founded with a religion. It's like the core value people want is Christianity. And like if you, it's so ingrained in our culture, just like racism, sexism, all that shit, and like overconsumption is, if you weave like a Christian narrative into something without it, and here's the other thing, without it being corny, because like I said earlier in the episode, I watch the God's Not Dead movies because I like watching like terrible straight to DVD movies, and those are like so ham-fisted you feel insulted.
Right.
But if you can turn around and like make a pretty okay movie where it's horror, and you can weave in like he works because he's like prayed. Like, let's look at it this way. Sinners even kind of does like a takedown of that.
Yeah.
Also, spoiler if you haven't seen Sinners, like in the end where Preacher Boy tries saying the Lord's Prayer and Remick literally laughs at him and joins him in and goes like, yo, that shit ain't gonna work here, bro, because it's made up. It's made up. But what I am
is older than this. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still find comfort in it because it was given to me. It's a gift that I hate, but bro, it warms my heart.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think again, insidious is the word that always comes to mind when talking about this, is that to the point you're making here about how kind of ingrained in the American psyche Christianity is, despite, whatever the founders had intended about it and things like that, is that as someone who came from like actually in the religion, like as an evangelical, like to me, it's like blasting me the whole time, right? Like that's all I can really see in these movies is like, holy shit, this is missionary stuff, But it is made in such a way that if that's not where you're coming from, you don't necessarily see it that way. You see these as, look at The Exorcist, right? Like if we go all the way back then, like that too is like an extremely religious movie, but it pulls off the horror so well that when you think about it, you don't think about that element of it, that this actually was trying to promote this spiritual perspective. And, so it's the insidiousness of this is what I think is, it's sneaking this into a story and kind of setting you up and putting you in a frame of mind that I think I see this reflected in the way that people tend to like kind of give credence to things that are like clearly silly, like say like a Ouija board, right? Something like that. That's like, it's a game by Parker Brothers and people go like, but I'm not going to risk it. It's a fucking board game made by Parker Brothers.
It's all right. Can I tell a funny story? Yeah. I was on a trip with some friends, right? We finally got a chance to get together, and half the group was black, the other half was white. I promise to support this story. So we were like, oh, everybody bring some like games to have fun, and we were all a little drunk at that point in time. So someone goes like, oh, I have a Ouija board, and like 3 of the white people get up, and I just go, yo, all the niggas, let's leave right now. Because even if this isn't true, it's still not going to work out for us. And we're not going to be clear topics. When the Ouija board is found and the black bodies are found, I don't need the Twitter community to be like, niggas forgot who they were.
This is always the argument in my family, well, not necessarily in my family, because my family, like, despite me having gone through an evangelical phase, my family has always been black leftists. They don't fuck with religion in any way.
I mean, you want for help on an episode.
So like this was not part of like my origin story, all of this stuff. So when I am in like a posse of black people who like did grow up with religion, that always cracks me up. Like that's like absolutely fucking not. We're not going anywhere near that shit. But like, yeah, it's literally a board game, like there's no harm whatsoever. It's contacting nobody. It's cardboard and plastic, but those little things like, or seeing things on TikToks that are like little, demon videos or whatever, and like thinking like, oh, well, at least I should pray, if I just to keep this out of my house or things like that. And it starts to like just let these little like bits of religious nonsense kind of like seep in that like, and I know you're like much more careful about like, oh, don't insult the religious people, things like that. And I'm sorry, but like coming from it, I have this just like view of like, you have to acknowledge like this is like BS, and it's insidious how it can get into you in these places.
Mine is solely because I have friends who do like, I have friends who also don't like my opinions on religion. So I'm just like, because I know I usually can go off the handle. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody individually.
Right. Yeah. It's good to be respectful of people, especially if they are cool and chill and, not assholes about it. But in terms of the beliefs, I tend to be a little no holds bars about like, guys, this is made up. This is not real. It's fine to believe it. It's just not real.
The Bible was workshopped.
Yeah.
The Bible was A/B tested.
Yes.
Yes.
For anybody who doesn't
Went to
know,
Christian college and they like taught us about that. And then we were supposed to still believe in it at the end of that. Like, hold on, you told me about all the versions of this.
Yeah. That's why like depending on like what your actual religious background is, like I thought the full name for a long time, I thought the full name of the Bible was the King James Bible.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, because the King James, like if you go
that's
to like,
the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to like if you're Baptist, like it's 9 times out of 10, that's the version of the Bible you have.
Yeah.
And then someone goes like, no, there's different versions of the Bible. And I said, nigga, if these are God's words, like, are we paraphrasing it? I think I asked him, like, are we paraphrasing him?
Yeah.
And someone broke it down, and I was just like, oh, because also I had like an atheist phase. Now I've like circled back to a level of belief, but also I'm like, bro, if he's all powerful or they are all powerful, they do not give a fuck about like half the shit we doing down here.
Right.
Like I feel like they're bringing us on a curve. Like he gave some very specific instructions and said, just hey, don't fuck someone else over, watch your neighbor's pockets, and like I truly believe that.
Yeah, totally. If there's anyone out there, there's no way they're concerned with 8 billion people's individual nonsense. That's for sure.
No, they don't care if you jack off.
God's not a hater. That's literally why I tell my family, like, God's not a hater. Like, like if God can forgive half the people who are in prison for some really fucked up crimes, I'm sure God can forgive like the porn I just watched.
And that kind of like, no, honestly, I think that really kind of gets to the point though of like, to have that kind of belief, like God's not a hater. The belief that the Warrens had is God absolutely is a hater, right? Like he fucking despises everything that you're doing, and he's willing to let Satan put demons in you because you don't love him enough. Like that is
okay. I do think there's a level of like a religious approach among certain people where instead of the religion being loving because you were a creation of God, and it's just like, yo, we're all God's children, blah, blah, blah. It's loving because God chose you.
Right.
And that's truly what in my opinion, it feels like the Warrens are. They are we're all God's creatures, but I'm not like you. It's like, it's like I have to wrap my identity in something, and instead of like finding team sports or like just picking to be a Dodgers fan, like every other normal person, they're like, no, I'm religious and I out religious you. Like there's nothing worse than someone who was like previously not religious, had some run-ins or like didn't have really meaning in their life, and then they found religion. Because then, oh my God, well, I'll tell some actual opinions on if we're doing a Crumbs episode. But yes, Eamon, our wonderful producer, I'm so sorry about this episode. This is
it turned into 2 episodes. But because we hit the hour and 38 mark.
Fun though.
Yeah. No, that's fine though.
I'm sorry. This is why my podcast is 2 hours long.
No, that's great.
We try to keep it to 45 minutes an episode for reasons.
I know it's so funny because I can actually listen to like a whole one of your episodes on a walk, and it always surprises me. I'm like, it's over. Okay.
It's very carefully timed. We write like a specific amount of words. Like it's there's an art to this, but if we get people that really like chatting with us, it'll always go longer, which is fine. And this has been great. But is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, hey, Jack of all graves on all the things, on all your podcast things, on the YouTubes, on the socials, whatnot. We are Jack of all graves. I'm Here Lies Corey on the old Blue Sky. And come listen to us if you like. Just to hear, the way I like to put it is that we have a podcast where we talk about very dark things, but in a joyful way. So we are grappling, we're grappling with all the horrors of being human and the universe, but we're talking about it in a way that goes, well, hey, that's part of being alive, right? And really kind of celebrating that. So if you like spooky lakes that kill everyone around, if you like to hear about cults, if you like to hear about, a few weeks ago we talked about my co-host asked me to tell him a story of cursed love, and I told him a story of a guy who died and ended up inadvertently starting World War I. So
Yeah.
listen, that's the kind of stuff that you get from Jack of All Graves.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
What
It's a good show. Also, I mean, you guys did one on Ed Gein recently.
Yes, we did.
And among the most terrifying things, Groypers.
Yes, we did recently. I explained
Yeah.
Groypers. So if we're a month out from that whole conversation, but if you're still wondering, you can hear what that means.
Okay, then I am going to go look you up and go listen to all your things now. So immediately.
Awesome.
Happy to have you.
All right. Well, thank you, audience, and we'll see you again, audience, whenever at some point. Who's to say? And thank you for coming on with us again.
Yes.